Alright, this is Himboy, and as you can see, the Alchemist of Salzburg has finally appeared in the third episode of the Legend Fes Breakdown. This time, yeah, I am not likely going to roll on it, even though the login bonus will give you the free 10 wish for this banner. It actually counts as a free daily wish if you do that. So use it, but sacrifice your daily pulls on this one. Yeah, you can see for the video review, unfortunately the two of them got the short end of the Salzburg stick. Interestingly, all the characters, all the protagonists in the Salzburg series did appear in one banner, although Maddie is in the Memoria, which we'll get into it later. Following the events of Maddie, we got Atelier Elie, which we got Elie, the Cheesecake Connoisseur. Her actual name is Elie. This is an interesting setup, but despite being a wind support, she does have 224 speed, which is the slowest, unfortunately. Her highest stat has to magical attack, highest defense is, well, magical defense. I did see Melee Grease being a useful manual skill, but it's more of a generic skill set, which is 96% damage, stun of 10, and 100 ticks of weight. After attacking, boosts all allies stun damage by 2 to 10%, which is depending for the enemies for one turn. She is more favorable if you have multiple of enemies. Let's say you only get up to 5 enemies to beat, and depending on how many enemies there are, that's where Ellie's manual skill comes into play. This does not work if this will be less effective if you only have one enemy nearby. So counteractive skill to Ruben favors more on less enemies, more power, while Elie focuses on her manual skill to have more enemies, more effective targets. Tropical Instrument. Boost all allies attack by 12 to 12. Boost all allies magic attack for 12 to 2 turns. Also boosts the target's magic defense by 12 or 2 attacks. Restores 5% of the original target's HP. I guess target. Despite having a high difference for high effectiveness for short range, and you also get to heal all other characters, the sacrifice, however, for Elie is the wait time, which is 275. I did not see this coming. Even for an Autoblade character, Ellie's actually the slowest, to be honest. So you're not only going to give allies like a significant boost of attack for 2 turns and then boost defense for 2 attacks, which enemies will likely stack up, especially for Sophie or other defender character. But the good thing is, she's also a side healer, just not very good at defense. But the case of having her autoplay skill to wait the longest, you're not likely going to use her that well in the Wind Elemental Tower, which I haven't unlocked yet. But for sure, as much as her skill is like being able to catch up to Maddie's skill, lore-wise, in Atelier Elie, somehow her skill set is not that useful, which comes into play of her first skill. Gronder Wind and Sun. 500% damage, 93% stun, wait time of 200. Seems normal. Until you notice, after attacking, restore 50% of the item gauge. There are some Memoria that can restore item gauge, which bit less nail in the coffin. However, if you're going to use her on autoplay teams, I don't recommend using her at all. I'm sorry, but having an item gauge restored, this manipulates tactics very well if you're on a manual team. Autoplay teams, you're not likely going to see this one useful, especially if you're doing this in score battles, whether if you only have one boss left, and then, you ran out of items, because Elie here likely only use her burst half of the time, or also she'll be less useful in dungeons. I mean, the item gauge is useful if you're doing this on manual teams, but the problem of this, you're not predicting when you'll use that item, especially if each turn will be tactical. So, if you're gonna get her, you might want to use her recommended on manual teams. This is not gonna be going so well for the two alchemists there. Maybe Maddie will carry both of them in the future if they're going to have their own variants. Advance all magical defense by 5%. This is a good asset, not gonna lie. I mean, it's 5%, pretty incremental. Poison resistance up reduced by 30%. Oh, that reminds me. The event score battles on the Alchemist of Salvard, they got poisonous shrooms. And yes, they can also nullify recovery. That's why in these 3-7, in stage 3-7, they're likely gonna need her. But other than that, for after the event story and that cavern over there in 3-7 dungeon, sheesh, you're not likely gonna see her that useful, fortunately. Wind resistance of 5, which is expected, and then her trait will, then for synthesizing, her colors will start at green and ends with red. Strike Curse is useful to reduce strike by 1 to 10% for one attack. Full recovery bonus will be given to allies. This increases recovery by 1 to 10%. Recovery boost recovery given by 2 to 15%. I'm gonna say this works if you're particularly using that to increase recovery items. Let's say all recovery bonus useful for Memoru, Memoru and Aisha's burst skill, and her recovery boost. I recommend having 2 of the 3 traits used on Elie, but for Strike Curse, that could be useful if you're going to debuff enemies or strike resistance, which is just for one attack. The least useful combination, just a utility supporter nonetheless. Yeah, things are not going well, even though I would like to have some Cheesecake though. Now, I guess on the third game, Atelier Lilie, it actually takes place years before the events of Atelier Maddie. Let's see on Lilie. Lilie is a Soul Breaker. Magical attack of 654. Nice. Lilie is stronger than Elie. Magical defense of 526, but her speed is freaking 236. Lilie is faster than Elie, but not like by the average, like 240 or 250, which is gonna cost you a lot, even if she is a breaker character. Manual skill Thunderbolt, interestingly, that's the electric type mouse favorite move. After attacking, boosts her own stun damage by 40% for one turn. So the next, so if you're going to use her on manual team, pretty useful, especially for second and third. Especially for autoplay and burst skill, the manual skill will allow her to follow up with any of the 2 skills right here. So with 65% damage, 41% stun, and wait time of 100 ticks. I mean, come on. That's pretty generic, even if you were to put this on level 5 skill. Just a utility item if you're playing this on manual. Useful. Miss Steel Ben. Damage of 122%, 60% of stun, and 200 wait time. Okay, seems useful. After attacking, boost target damage received by 5%, so she'll be able to debuff their defenses. Well, increase the damage received alongside attacking with defense. Boom. Well, it's only for targets they receive, which is like debuffing their defenses for a little bit for attack. It only stacks up to 15% though, so this works 3 times, and then the boss enemy will likely be able to like, screw it. I'm just gonna the increased damage received. So 122 to 6. It's just a ratio to 2 to 1 with a slight increase of 2%. Remember, you can upgrade all characters through all character skills except the burst skill on their grow boards. So do know the disclaimer. Also, Earthen Rhapsody, that's her burst skill though. 240% damage and 150 stun with a rate time of 200. At least it's quite generic, unlike Elie's skill 2, which is her autoplay skill. After attacking, there's a very high chance of inflicting a target's paralysis at the start of the turn for 2 turns. But the chance for each enemy to be paralysis is kinda like a 50-50 chance. Even if she were to utilize her break damage roll, which does have a stun of 150, having an enemy to paralyze them, I don't think that's gonna be useful. Even if they're broken, they still have to return though. So you'll have to flip a coin for 2 times, if you're going to use her burst, then her burst is not likely going to be useful on not just doing stun damage. I gotta say, Lilie is a breaker. This is the first character with Bolt Breaker, but I don't see her skill set being useful. Not without this one though. Not without skill 1, followed by skill 3. If you're on manual, this will be useful, but if it's on autoplay, you're stuck with 2 and 3. Destructive Overload, which will boost all ally stun damage by 5%. Useful for Maddie, Cornelia, and other breaker characters. Blindness resistant up for 30%. Blindness increases the chance of having your character to miss an attack against an enemy. Quite useful by a third of a 10. Generic breaker, but a paralyzing character. I mean, just go use skill 1 and skill 3. If you're a manual team, that is. It's pretty tactical. Gift colors this time, or we'll start with blue and end with yellow. Air Blessing, which is a boost air damage of 5 to 45% for air characters. I mean, you can use it. Chaser Charge, boost damage to stun enemies by 60 to 54%. This is there's only one trait where Elie can use I'm getting confused between Elie and Lilie. Where Lilie can fully utilize her traits, well, on top of having a breaker roll, but only one trait. Why? Air damage boost, which is boost air skill damage by 3 to 25%. I'm pretty sure Priorities will be able to utilize most of Lilie's traits, but for breaker characters or those who focus on stun, like Logi here, there is only one trait that is useful to them. Even Maddie or Cornelia, other breaker characters or those characters that can increase their stun damage. Thank you, Salamat Choppy. I guess Lilie is somewhat better than Elie, but not much, considering her paralysis will not likely work guarantee of it. So it's not like guaranteed. You're just likely gonna have to flip a coin for 2 turns if the paralysis inflicted on that enemy. Well, I guess all target, right? So yeah, all of her skills except skill 1 are multiple targets, but for enemies, yeah, you have to flip a coin for 10 times if you're going to use her first skill that often. Well, there's only one item left, which is Maddie's Memoria, which is hard at work. Got the design though. That was the illustration for everybody. It is really hard at work. Speed increased by 6.75, both defenses increased by 13.75, and HP and physical attack are tied to 16.25, with magical attack raised the highest at 31.25%. The Memoria also has a bonus which boosts stun damage by up to 52% for attacks that hit all enemies. Of course, that is rank 5. It's a less likely chance that you'll be able to get this one maxed out. So if you were to gather Memoria upgrade keys, one at a time up to rank 5, this is fully effective. This is useful for breaker, for stun focus targets, for stun focus characters. I'd say this is useful for a few characters that I could recall, but I'm gonna have to flash it on screen for these characters that focuses on stun attacks. I guess a little bit of an example. Logi could utilize this one. Oh yeah, I also have Hitfilm, but I haven't tested him that much, so yeah, hard at work, good for stun focused characters or stun up teams, and I'd say for the Legend Fest, it's a bit awkward to finish it off because I was expecting for Elie and Lilie to have a very good skill set back when it was released in the Japanese version. Unfortunately, they're going to have to, both of them will have to get carried by Maddie later in this event story. Where to go this fun? Well, Elie, useless air supporter, and more useless if you're gonna use her on autoplay teams, because she'll likely gonna waste all of your items easily before reaching the final boss or one enemy left in score battle. And for Elie, I said it, please. Lilie, the third character in the Salvage series, Bolt Breaker, but nonetheless still useful, although not recommended to roll on this banner, unfortunately. maybe you can exchange for Lilie once you guarantee 150 Legend Fes battles, but if you needed them right now, I'm gonna prefer rolling for Lilie over Elie. So, enough about that. I have to finish the recording. Let's see. I guess we're gonna just no notes on this one. So, interestingly, they still haven't localized the two Atelier Salvord games, which is notably Elie and Lilie. I hope they're going to add this one. I hope AT will likely get the two games remastered for modern consoles. Like, I would like to try them out though. Not about story-wise, even though most of the soundtrack or the pre-rendered anime cutscenes were like really outdated. I'm pretty sure they're like this one later down the line. That's why you have Resleriana. So yeah, that's all for this live Legend Fes breakdown, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and the Discord server Blue Sky. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. See you soon.